Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Jeannie King, and we are having coffee chat today with two exceptional women who have developed an amazing type of mailed product. I've got Ellen Britt and I've got Jen Pardue. Good morning, ladies.
Good
Morning.
morning.
I'm so happy you're here. Cindy is traveling today, so it'll be just us three, but we're going to have a great time. I am so excited to talk with our Bnow women and our audience about what you are doing with the Magnolia letters. And I just want to bring this up. And for people who are not familiar with this, I want you to stay tuned until later because we have a special offer for you too. But these two exceptional women are based in Atlanta, Georgia, and they came up with the idea of having this correspondence that is actually in the early 20th century, around the time of the Depression. And these letters are beautiful. They are mailed to you. And the excitement around, I got to tell you, gals, the excitement around getting a real letter is beyond what I can even describe, because we all get emails and we get texts and we get so.
Instead of getting the usual Val pack with all the direct mail ads, right?
Oh, I know. Isn't that true? I just got a magazine today. It says, "Is this our final breakup?" And I went, "Well, I would think you would get a clue. I haven't ordered anything in 6 years." So, okay, probably. But one of the things about this is too, on this gorgeous envelope, it says, and it's so lovely, "Kindly deliver into the care of Jeannie King." What a gracious way to put that. I love that so much. So, would one of you like to talk to us about how this idea came about, and we can dive into it?
Well, that would probably be me,
That
I
would be
guess, right?
Ellen. This was
That would
her
be me.
baby.
I think I guess it's been a full year, maybe a year and a half. I had been doing medical freelance writing and, lots of things changed for people during and after the pandemic. And some of my work had fallen away due to a number of things. I think the pandemic and then the rise of AI, of course, has made a lot of changes for folks. And I don't know, I had been looking around for some other things to do and praying about it and all that good stuff. And one day I was on Facebook and I was in this group that belongs to a good friend of mine, and it's about letter writing, handwritten letters.
Mhm.
Now, I have to confess that I do not like to write handwritten letters because I'm left-handed and I smear the ink of one side and down the other, but I went into this group to support my friend, right? So one day she says, "Hey, look at this." And it was a company that was doing something similar, a
Mhm.
subscription service, let stories through letters. And she says, "Isn't this an interesting entrepreneurial thing?" So I took a look at it. I thought, well, wow, that's pretty interesting. But I didn't really think too much about it. And a couple of nights later, I had this extremely vivid dream about a company like that. Not just about that company, but about me doing something like that. So I woke up and I thought, oh, oh, maybe could I do something like this? I had done some fiction writing before, and I thought, well, let me give it a try. So I pulled up a Google document and I thought, oh, okay. And I didn't even think about what characters, I just started writing and it just spilled out. And I had all 24 letters. They were about 30,000 words total, written in about 10 days. I almost didn't sleep. I couldn't do anything else but write. It was a weird thing. I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
It's
So
a download, isn't
it was
it?
a download. I hear, you hear people talk about that all the time, and you think, yeah, yeah, until it happens to you. It's like I just couldn't stop writing.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I've made some revisions and changes and back and forth, but the letters actually were written in about 10 days, all 24 of them.
And
So
tell
that's how it came about.
Ellen, who are the characters and what is the general shortened premise of what
Well,
they are
it
living?
begins in the spring of 1931. This is the height of the Great Depression here, and it's set in Georgia, in a little town called Warm Springs, which, if you remember your history, that was the place where FDR had his little White House.
Yes.
It's about an hour south of where I live, and it's also set in Savannah. And of course, Savannah, Georgia's pretty famous for being this, beautiful southern city. Well, there are two friends, adult women friends, who've been friends since childhood. And it's Frances Reynolds and Mae Walker. And Mae lives with her husband, James, and their 6 children, which was not uncommon to have large families like that in those years. And she and her husband, James, live on a farm right outside of Warm Springs, Georgia. And her friend, Frances Reynolds, and her husband, Will, they've moved to Savannah because Will's uncle was a wealthy industrialist. And of course, everybody's suffering during the Depression. So he offered to move them and give Will a job in his company in Savannah. So they took him up on it. So these friends now are separated, and they have very different personalities. But so Mae is there on the farm with James, and Frances is in Savannah with her husband, and she's been kind of catapulted into this kind of high society arena, and she's not familiar with that at all. She grew up kind of in the country. So this is her kind of back and forth between the two, and they run into some real things during the course of a year with, not to give anything away, but high family drama, just all kinds of things. And there's lots of fun and laughter too.
Thank you for that. The first letter that came was from Mae to Frances.
To Frances, yeah.
And Mae was talking about even her dad had this cow or something that had.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, the kids running around, and it was, one of the things that I had read recently about Ernest Hemingway, he said, don't talk about an emotion, bring the emotion in, which is perfectly done in these. These women are expressing their emotions. And, of course, I'm from Dallas originally, and I live in a town that has 2,400 people. And literally, we have wild deer and we have wild chickens and all kinds of things running around. And when Mae was when Mae was talking about her kids and gathering the chicken eggs and running around, I was like, oh yeah, I can totally relate to that. But it is so charming, and I can already see the setup. As you said, Frances has been catapulted into this kind of high society for which it seems she is ill prepared. Plus,
Yes.
she's living with this uncle and his family, which has to be a little bit difficult. So what do you think, Jen? What are you feeling about this thing?
It was so interesting because I had been following Ellen, and I've known Ellen for a long time through my other business that I have, and had met her through my dad actually. And I've been watching it on Facebook and watching as she made the announcement. And originally the initial launch was going to be last fall, and so I was really paying attention to it. And I love like Southern historical fiction.
Yes.
As a reader, and so Ellen reached out to me, and we talked about what the business needed, the business model and things like that. And I was intrigued because I do online business training. So I was in my other business. So was like, kind of, not that I wasn't bored with it, but I was interested in something that was a little more creative. And I have been a homesteader for about 10 years. I actually live in East Tennessee. And so, we've been doing stuff on our farm. We've just got a little 4-acre mini farm that we just bought, and we kind of upgraded from the old farm. And so this year I had just gotten chickens and, really kind of doing some of those things. And so Ellen reached out and said, do you want to talk? And I read the entire year's worth of letters in like half a day, and just was like, okay, I'm good. Let's do this. And so it's been exciting just getting everything done and starting kind of a brand new business, which I've never done before. I bought my business from my dad, so I didn't have to do, all the little business setup things that everybody else has to do as a new business owner. So from that side of things, it also gave me a new perspective on also working with some of my clients and the difficulties that they have trying to get a new business up and going, and some of the technical pieces that I'd just been removed from.
Yes.
And Jen too, both of us had never done any physical product business
Right.
either. So that's a whole nother element.
It is. It
Mhm.
absolutely, my husband and I built the winery that we're actually living in here in 2011, and he had always wanted to make wine. His dad was a career military, and they lived in Italy. And, the physical act of getting grapes and making wine and crushing them and bottling them. And plus I had a 5-star bistro here. And fortunately, throughout my young life, I had waited tables and done many things. So I wasn't totally oblivious, but it is a whole different thing when you have hands-on. And, the one thing that I have always said is that I can tell when people are blessing what they're doing and they're pouring their love into it, you can feel it. You can read it in this letter. I mean, I read your love and passion. And, people would come in and they would go, "Oh, it feels so good in here. And it's just wonderful." And I was like, didn't necessarily go into anything, but I went, yeah, well, it was built on love, but it is. And, the one thing you mentioned, Ellen, about last year, or one of you mentioned about last year being the kickoff, and I did, sign up and say, let me know about this. But it was reminiscent because not too long ago, I read that the new collectibles are bundles of handwritten correspondence between people.
Interesting.
It's like a high dollar thing. And so if people are going through their attics or what, and they've got their grandfather was in World War I or II and back and forth with their grandmother, or people writing to each other. If you have collections of letters, hang on to them because it's valuable.
Well, the New York Times just recently had an article about the romance genre too, and how it's been kind of an unrecognized and kind of a put down sort of thing. And somebody asked me the other day, they said, "Well, is there any romance in these letters? These are two married women writing." There's plenty of romance because women are going to talk about things to other women that they might not write in a letter to a man. So don't be fooled. There's plenty of romance in these letters.
Well, and romance too, to me, obviously there's the sexual part and stuff like that, but it's deeper than that. It's the nurturing, it's the loving, it's the respect that one has for your partner. And I think that's quite romantic. So what do you want our audience to know about all of this?
Wow. Well, you had said, as we were talking, you had said something about perhaps you would read a couple of lines from one of the letters. I want them to get just a little taste of what that might sound like.
I will. I absolutely will. And this is letter number 2. And this is dated April 13th, 1931. I want people to pay attention to these dates. And it is Frances, who lives in Savannah, writing back to Mae, who is with her husband and 6 kids and chickens and stuff like that in Warm Springs. But she's apologizing. She had apologized to Frances by saying, "I'm a terrible friend. I should have written to you sooner," and all of that. You know how we do. We think that we have to be on call 100 times. But it says, "My dear Mae, I don't want to hear another word about your not being a good friend. My goodness, the good Lord knows that you have your hands full with your children and your household. I don't know how in the world you manage with all you have to do. You are so capable and always so calm. I just wish I was even half as good at handling things as you are. Now, the underlying, because I did read the rest of the letter also, but the underlying thing that I got out of this second letter is that there is a deep longing of Frances to have children, and they can't seem to have children.
Exactly. Yes.
Not being jealous, and she's being lifting up, but I felt this deep longing.
Yes, and that gets played out in a pretty interesting way over the course of the year. So your readers will the readers will just have to be surprised at that.
And these letters arrive twice a month. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. We mail two every, is it every other Friday, Jen?
It's
Yes, the
second and
second, we
fourth-
mail
second
we
and
mail the
fourth-
second and fourth Friday. That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, second and fourth Friday.
Okay.
And
So
the letters,
approximately every 2 weeks.
and the letters from Mae to Frances always have a little surprise in them.
Yes.
Where there may be, I think we did all recipes, didn't we?
Yeah, so every other month they'll get one of Mae's recipes.
Every other week.
I mean, yes, every other week. And then every other week, when Frances' letter to Mae arrives, they'll get a postcard.
Like this,
Mhm.
Yes, yes,
that you can actually send to somebody else if you would like.
exactly.
I know.
exactly.
It's
delightful. And it's
Well, I love it too because I'm such a and Ellen as well. We're both Southern cooks, and so I love the idea throughout the whole course of the year that Mae is also trying to teach Frances how to cook through
Right.
letters, and so it's been interesting.
I love those recipes and have already tried them. And it was so funny. I think it was you, Ellen, that had written, and I don't know which one made the recipe about the broccoli salad with instead of using raisins, using the cranberry craisins and stuff, and saying, use Duke mayonnaise. You can use another nice mayonnaise. Don't tell me about it.
Don't tell us. No.
Yeah. So for folks who don't know, we also do a newsletter, a free newsletter, and we do that every week. And we just do a little behind the scenes here with the business. We always do a recipe from Ellen, a recipe from me, and then we add some I think I did some gardening tips last week. And
Right.
so just little things like that. And soon my chickens are producing like crazy right now. So I'm trying to come up with my next batch of recipes that we can use to use some eggs with.
Some egg recipes for sure.
We're having our Bnow Women's Retreat again this year in Junction where I live in September. And the woman that I buy all of my farm fresh eggs, I mean, she has like this place about 10 miles out of town. And literally, I mean, these chickens are eating bugs and you know what I'm saying? It's not that fake free range thing. We're going to let them out for an hour a day. And but we've hired her to make all of our breads and all of our desserts and all of our muffins and stuff like that. But part of it is, and I can't wait, she is making 2 quiches and one's going to get 2 different kinds. I don't mean just 2, but one is going to be like the traditional quiche Lorraine with the onions and bacon and stuff. And the other one is going to be a Florentine with spinach. So I'm sure it's going to be fabulous.
It always amazes me the difference in the country eggs and city eggs, we call them, at the yolks. My sister keeps me supplied in eggs, and she and her husband have a little farm. And if you compare them, because one day I had a city egg and I had a country egg, I had one of each, and I had cracked them into this bowl, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because the country egg looked like the yolk was just glowing. It was just amazing. There's a huge difference.
Well, and you don't know how long those things have been sitting in the refrigerator. I mean, truly, they could be months old. Yeah, not the country eggs. I'm talking about the
Right, exactly.
I'm new to chicken owning and chicken tendering, and so I've been learning quite a bit over the past year about everything that makes the little bit of a difference. Like one day I let them eat like the buttercups as they were coming up in the field. And the next batch of eggs, my husband was like, what's going on with the eggs? And I was like, we let them eat buttercups last week, or 2 days ago.
I
And
love hearing
I
that.
know,
Uh,
it's interesting.
My husband's a veterinarian, and I had asked him at one time, because we had a hydroponic thing. We had at our ranch, we had, a vineyard and stuff like that. And I said, what do you think about getting chickens? He went, well, only if you don't never want to travel again. He said they take a lot of tending. So I don't know if that's true or not, but we do not have chickens, but we have friends with chickens. So that's great.
Hey, that's great. Yeah, friends with that's what I have too. Friend, I have sister with chickens in my case. So
There
yeah,
you
We have
go.
adult kids, so we just put them on taking care of everything.
chicken duty.
They're on chicken duty.
Do you have cows or goats or anything that you milk?
So we've only been in this property for we're just going on 2 years now. And so we've just finished kind of redoing our barn, which is where our chicken coop is. Our barn is the original barn that was built on this property. Our house is 1910.
Ah,
And so the barn is in 1910 as well. And so we had to do some restoration on that, but it was a milking barn and a dairy barn. So we were able to take one of the dairy stall or the milking stalls and create that into our indoor chicken coop so they could come inside at night and then they can go do their thing outside. So now that we've got the barn finished, we are actually, just last night, we were looking at our fence drawings for the property to try to get all the fencing up. And we do want a cow. I want goats. My husband is not a fan of having goats. So I figure that I'll have to pick one up and
you have to sneak in.
sneak
A,
it in.
a rescue goat baby or something.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, but they say, I keep just trying to say, you know what? We wouldn't have to mow. We wouldn't have to mow. So that's his little pain point. I'm needling on a regular basis right now.
There you go.
Well, and
But-
your trees will get groomed too, because they browse on the trees. They
Mhm.
climb up the trees and get all the extra stuff off of it. So
We
that's
have goat's milk, and then goat's milk soap will be next, and all
Oh,
of that,
yeah.
right?
I love making cheese, so I would be making goat cheese like crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have a dear friend that we used to buy all of our stuff from when we had the bistro, and they had sheep and goats at that time. Now they only have goats, but they have award-winning goats and milk goats and, Angora and meat goats and all kinds of stuff. I have learned so much, but she makes that kind of thing. Jen and Ellen, she makes cheeses, and she sends me the most fabulous soaps, and it's really extraordinary. So I want to come back to the Magnolia letters. How does somebody get this letter, and what is it that we're going to do together?
Jen, you want to address that?
Sure. So below the video, we're going to have a special offer for your folks. And I've created a 20% off coupon code so that folks can grab that and they'll just click the link below, and it's special for your people so that they can use that coupon code. And the way that we work with the Magnolia letters is no matter when you sign up, you start with letter 1. So you don't have to worry about missing anything. And so we have a system in place on our end, so we know who gets what letter next. And so everybody will start with letter number 1. And we've been brainstorming some additional stories and topics. So, do we continue with this story, which I think we have to. After I read the end of it, I called the last letter. I called Ellen. I was like, okay, I got to know what's next. I got to know. You need to start writing it. We got to know. And I think too, we've had some requests for an audio version of the letters as well. And so we're putting that together right now to figure out how we can get those recorded and get that delivered to people who prefer to listen as opposed to reading. So hopefully
or who might want to take their letter and have it read to them almost. They
Right.
could still look at it. I've had one person say, that would be nice to be able to hold the letter and then hear it read in the character's voice.
That would be
So-
lovely. And a lot of people can't read well anymore, and
Yes.
or they're just if they're younger ones, many of them, and this is almost in a cursive script.
Mhm.
And many of them do not easily read cursive.
Mhm. So I've also seen lots of little like groups who are, waiting for their letter to come and so they can read it together and talk about it. And so it's been fun just as everybody's starting to get to know the characters and the storyline and I think everybody who gets letter number 3 that goes out
Letter number 3 will be going out Friday.
um they're going to be really excited about some of the stuff that's getting revealed.
Yes, yes. The letter number 3 is kind of the letter number 1 and 2, because you've got to introduce the characters and their families, and also there's the place in which the characters live. So that had to be done in letters 1 and 2 with hints of things that are going to come. And then letter number 3 is actually where things kind of take off.
A little bit of action here, huh?
Yes.
And let me tell you something, ladies, these letters and the premise and the experience is so extraordinary. And the price point is amazing because it is, well, tell them what it is, and then the fact that they can actually get a discount through you all.
Yep. So the monthly is $13.99.
$13.99.
And or there's a just pay in full option for the whole year, which is already got a discount on it, so it's $149. And then there we're giving everybody 20% off, so they'll be able to
So they'll be able to use that 20% either on the monthly or the yearly. And we also have a gift card subscription. It's not for the whole year. So if you wanted to give it to somebody, you could do it 2 ways. You could buy it and just put the shipping address as the person that you want to send it to, or you could do the electronic gift card and then an email would go to them, and then they can come and purchase it through the gift card at the store.
Right. Well, we'll be putting it on our website also. And as a way for people to get in touch with you to activate their 20% discount. And it will be on beautifulnetworkofwomen.com. We will also, I'm bringing my letters with me in September to our retreat, which is on the 19th through the 22nd of September. And so we will mention it. And, this just occurred to me. I don't know if you want to send me just a couple of little invitations or something. I mean, we'll talk about that. It's not really necessary, but we could pass them out to the ladies there.
Sure.
So we'll talk about that. Well, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am. And Cindy really missed out on this one, but God bless.
Well, we're sorry we missed her.
Oh, we'll have you back. No doubt. No doubt. And when you said too, Jen, about or Ellen, I don't know, I'm so excited, but about people having like little clubs or little gatherings and reading those. I love that idea. I just love it. And there, my mind just races because there are just all kinds of stuff that could happen here.
For sure. Some people scrapbook their letters, journal around them, save their letters and wait, and then call their sister and read them together on the phone, all of this kinds of stuff.
I love it. I think it is so important. And, one thing that we learned with the pandemic and the lockdowns is how important physical and emotional connection is. And having a physical letter just brings that closer to my heart too. And then meeting with you two like this, and I'm sure that we'll, continue this, but it has really awakened many of us by saying this isolation and this hiding behind our texting and our phones and all of that, it needs to be more.
It's interesting because it's almost like taking a book club, and instead of, having a month to read the book, you're getting dripped the chapters of the book over the course of a year so that you can really talk about that specific chapter. You think about going to a book club and it's a couple hours, but how do you cover like all the things that are happening in a whole book, in one book club meeting? And so, the idea of getting together and talking about every single letter lets you just get to like the real minute details that you would otherwise miss. And I think it lends to some interesting conversation around that.
That's right.
Yeah, I like to say they're not buying a subscription to letters, they're buying an experience.
that's it.
Mhm.
That's it. The emotional connection, the experience. Thank you for saying that. It's not just letters, but it's the experience. And in reading these, it's almost there. This is almost a century ago in the letter format. But isn't it interesting what I found, ladies, is that we have many of the same emotional things, the same
Exactly.
concerns. It hasn't changed that much.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, those are universal.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to live in the South to appreciate that either.
Oh, no. No, we have
We already have international customers, so everybody's fascinated with Southern culture and history. So wherever you live, it doesn't matter.
That's true. And if somebody just wants to look up your website or whatever, can you just tell us what
Yes, it's themagnolialetters.com.
themagnolialetters.com.
Yeah, letters or plural. The
Plural.
Magnolia letters. Mhm.
Yes.
Yep. And they'll actually, if they go there, they'll have the option to get our free newsletter.
Perfect.
Right.
Love your free newsletter. I want to have a shout out too to our mutual friend Donna Yamini.
Yes.
She is the food, and I guess you heard she just is getting inducted into this international female chef organization, the likes of which have been like Julia Child.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't doubt it. She's an extremely talented woman. I had the good fortune to meet her over the phone through a mutual friend when I was doing this pre-launch giveaway. This was, nearly a year ago now for the Magnolia Letters. And she actually made a branded Magnolia Letters peach jam and jelly for us for the giveaway.
Oh my gosh.
So we will definitely, we've got some things cooking, so to speak, with Donna in the future. Yeah.
She came down with her husband about a month ago. I mentioned our winery, but when we were renovating it this past year, we had to move 100 cases of wine out of here that was climate controlled into a non-climate controlled storage unit and just hope for the best because there's no such thing here in Junction. They have just, anyhow, 100 cases of our award-winning wine turned to vinegar. And I was like, holy cow, now what? And I reached out to Donna and I said, would you like me to give you 100 cases of wine to make vinegar? Well, she hopped on that like a duck on a June bug. And they came down and she is curating a whole series of red and white wine vinegars using our wine. And in Dallas, once this is all done, she's creating the mothers and all of that. And she is putting together a celebrity chef cook-off in Dallas. And all the celebrity chefs have to use this wine vinegar in their dishes. And so we're going to be selling tickets and I'll be in Dallas for this thing and it's going to be a big deal. So, there's also an opportunity for us to maybe showcase your Magnolia peach jam and all of that. I mean, you don't know. So this thing could get big.
I have to come to Dallas. I
You
love
will.
that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, girlfriend. I'm now about 4.5 hours from Dallas. I'm in the Texas Hill Country, but yeah, absolutely. We'll meet up in Dallas. How's that? Okay. Thank you both so much, Ellen and Jen. I
It's been a
appreciate
pleasure.
time. I appreciate your everything that you are doing, and we will absolutely have you back on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.